just kind of recording this for my own purposes. Selling the Prophet Rev 2. I already sold my Matrix Brute due to financial hardships and stuff. Comes a time when you want to be a creative, and then there comes a time when you got to be a parent and a provider for your family. Selling, 2 synthesizers, probably gonna end up having to sell some more gear just to kind of make stuff right. Basically, like me starting back from ground zero, so that way my family can live comfortably. Sacrifices you got to make as a father, as a husband, and as a creator, honestly. But I'm just kind of documenting this so that way I know what I need to be working back towards. Granted, I worked hard for the stuff that I have, but working for a stable lifestyle is the main thing. So this is just something I'm gonna just try to put into another video and kind of elaborate on a little more for people who might be going through the same thing and you feel like you're the only person that's going through it. You're not. But keep your head up, man. It's better times coming, and you make your sacrifices so that way you could do the stuff that you want to do going forward. So just keep that in mind. But what's up with y'all, man? It's your boy Trey Rule, here with another YouTube video, and today we're gonna be doing something a little different than what I'm usually doing on the channel. I'm usually cooking up, showing you guys my creative workflow and all that good stuff. But today I want to talk about something that's very, very important because I just had to go through this. I want to talk about selling your gear and starting over. And when I say selling your gear, I'm not saying selling your gear to like fund new stuff or anything like that. Granted, that's a big part of everybody who's a creative's lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? We always selling stuff to try and attain the next thing. I'm talking about selling gear, liquidating your assets to make sure you are in a good financial position. Recently, I just had to sell synthesizers, a couple of other pieces. And these things came about because I wasn't making the correct choices, had a financial hardship, had to make the decision to, be smart about how I was gonna move, because if I would have tried to keep the things, then I would have been put in a position where me having all of the gear wouldn't even matter. So I know a lot of people probably go through this exact same thing, but nobody is talking about it. So I just wanted to kind of bring this topic to the forefront and just kind of be transparent on how I actually felt in that situation and what I did to get through it. It's almost like you feel like you failed as a creator when you have to sell stuff that you aren't particularly willing to part ways with. Like I said, I had worked hard to get my synthesizers, my vocal chain, all that good stuff. But at the same time, I realized like, hey, these are just tools and you can still create without having the physical thing. Like most of the stuff that I sold, I had in the digital version, and it was just more tactile for me to have my hands on, being able to turn knobs, get the sound out way faster versus me using a mouse. But in that same sense, is it worth sacrificing your well-being, your mental, all of that, not being able to be in your own space, like stuff like that? Just to kind of be a little transparent here, I had got behind on some rent, and it was almost to the point where we were about to get evicted. And I didn't want to have my 2 small kids and my wife living with somebody else, having to move back home to Michigan or anything like that, just because my pride wouldn't let me sell gear that I acquired. And I had to sit down with myself. I was like, these are just tools to create. It's a hard thing to come to terms with in terms of being able to really let go of the gear. But at the same time, I'm super grateful that I was able to liquidate assets that I had to be able to fund stuff that was needed to be done. So that's how you got to look at it. Like all of this stuff is just tools, and it just helps us create easier. Now, doing so kind of brought me back into the starting over phase, right? Because granted, I still have my microphone, I still have my interfaces and all that stuff, but my setup is pretty much bare bones now. I'm like, man, it kind of brings me back to when I was super hungry for this, when you wanted to get all of the new gear and everything possible. It kind of shines a light on that, remembering where you came from, actually going back to where you came from in terms of starting over. Once I got the SP44, it kind of reimagined how I started everything. You know what I'm saying? Like when I first started making my own beats to rap over, I was a sample-based producer. Everything I did was a sample. So getting that kind of reminded me of how hungry I used to be when it came to wanting to actually learn how to make my own beats and stuff like that. And then this happened and kind of reimagine my workflow and go back down to what I started with, you know, my Apollo, and being able to use the Unison preamps and really finding a sound that I like. Me actually selling that hardware chain, I went back to the Manley Voxbox, the UAD plugin, and I just remembered how much I love that plugin. It's stuff like that. Like, don't look at everything as in a negative light. Like, yeah, it was hard to part ways with my stuff, but at the same time, thank God that I was able to purchase the things and have an experience with them, and when the time came, I was able to sell them in a quick time frame to be able to get the stuff that I needed in terms of being able to get rid of the financial hardships. It's almost like a way for me to really reevaluate what matters to me the most. Like, granted, a lot of the stuff that I had, most people wouldn't even be able to hear the sonic difference between a hardware keyboard or a virtual keyboard. You know, as a producer or engineer, anything like that, when you think in terms of creating, you can't create for other producers and engineers and artists. You have to be creating for yourself and also your audience. You know, most of the people listening to this stuff on phones anyway, phones, laptops. Occasionally you might have somebody that actually uses super high quality earbuds or headphones or anything like that. So it was almost to the point where it's like, just create with what you have. And you know, that's what my channel was about, man. Just being able to create with what I have in my hands, not chasing the latest fads. You know, a lot of the stuff that's coming out does look super cool, but I'm not necessarily interested in getting it to chase a trend or anything like that. I really want to get it to see how it enhances my workflow, and I want to create with the tools that I have at my disposal. And even doing that kind of made me realize, hey, I need to get back into filmmaking and doing photography and stuff like that. So I just bought me a new photography camera, the Fujifilm X-E5. I still got my X-H2S. I almost sold my camera to kind of take care of the financial burden, but I was like, you know, having that gear really doesn't matter to me. Having stuff like this to be able to create and get my ideas out on YouTube and stuff like that was more important to me than any vocal chain or any piece of hardware could ever be. So I told myself I'm not selling my camera. I know it's other people out here going through the same thing. You will get the gear back tenfold. You just have to reevaluate and adjust to what's happening. Just think about the things that matter most to you. As always, thank you guys for tapping in. I know this is a different video, but the cook-ups will be back. We'll be making more beats on the SP404, do like a rhythm roulette style video or something like that. I've been wanting to do one of those for the longest. I'm gonna get these live streams and stuff back going as well. Really just trying to figure this stuff out, man, as I go. You know, it's no blueprint to being the perfect person that you imagine in your head. You know, it's literally being written as you go along. So, peace.